Since I've gotten my D500, I've taken thousands of pictures. I've just been having a great time with it. And I was looking through my memory card today, and somehow I've overlooked the very first day I used my Nikon 200-500 with the D500 at a very cool place called Vera Wetlands. That's what this video is. It was a ton of fun to do. The sun is just coming up, and there's already a whole bunch of people here and like 3 or 4 cars behind me. So this is a popular wetland place because there's birds everywhere. But today I've got a new lens, and I'm here to really try it out and see how it performs compared to my old zoom lens. My old one was the Tamron 150-600 version 1, and I just got the Nikon 200-500 yesterday afternoon. Haven't had a chance to try it out, so that's why I'm here. Hopefully I get some good stuff. All right, I think I know why this place is so popular, at least right at the moment. There is a pair of nesting sandhill cranes right up here, and they have 2 chicks, and it's really easy to get really, close, maybe 15-20 feet from them. We'll see what we can find. And there's some blue herons, great blue herons on a nest. Cool. Here's the first shot of the day with practically 0 light, and it came out really, really good. I had the shutter speed set to 1/60th of a second because I had this on a tripod at the time. I was getting ready to film the crane, and here's the film now. I'm really surprised at how well this video turned out considering I had 0 light. It looks good. Now this might just look like an adult sandhill crane sitting on a nest, but it was chilly that morning, and the 2 chicks are staying warm on the adult's back, buried beneath those feathers. And there's one chick popping up now, and if you look close, you can see the wing of another one just coming out the rear tail feathers. Sometimes wildlife photography is all about being in the right place at the right time. I was lucky enough to be there and witness these 2 little chicks doing their thing. The D500 and the Nikon 200-500mm lens were doing great in this low light, and the light was constantly changing because the sun was just coming up over the horizon. You can tell in some of these pictures how that orange glow was really starting to show up on the chicks. At this point, the adult thinks it's a good idea to sit down because it's still a little chilly. You can even notice the one little chick here out front. It's shivering. So the adult lays down, and then they made their way back into the adult's back and got warm under those feathers. I got some great shots and great footage of the sandhill cranes on their nest. Man, that was cool. And this is getting really popular. Look at all these people. They're all here to watch the sandhill cranes. But somebody just told me there's some great blue herons on a nest over here. So I'm going to go check them out now. After my visit with the sandhill cranes, I spotted 2 red-shouldered hawks on the opposite sides of the road. One was on the left and one was on the right. They provided a great opportunity for filming, so I set up and got a few quick clips. And you can hear the sandhill cranes in the distance on the second clip. On my way to the nesting great blue herons, I found this male great blue heron who was in the perfect position to do a silhouette. The sun was coming up directly behind him. You can notice him preening his feathers, and then he does a little mating dance. I got some good pictures too. What a cool experience. Look how well the heron blends in with this tree. If you didn't know there was a bird in this tree, you might not notice him. In case you're wondering how to create this silhouette type effect, you basically have to shoot directly into your light source. In this case, the sun was almost directly behind this heron, and then you have to underexpose the image. For this one, I lowered the shutter speed to 1/800th of a second and did a little bit of exposure compensation, but I also did some stuff in Lightroom. I lowered the shadows and the highlights all the way to -100. I also adjusted the white balance a little bit and made the picture a little warmer to get that bright orange effect behind the bird. And here's the great blue heron nest with 2 little chicks. And apparently it's still too early for the adult because look, it's nap time. I didn't get any good shots of the great blue heron chicks, but I did get a couple of cool shots of the adult on the nest. The area directly under the great blue heron's nest was loaded with birds. This little green heron was sitting almost at my feet. Yesterday I uploaded a video asking for everyone to help me identify a bird. The bird has been identified as an American bittern, and here is the person who identified it. I'm not sure how to pronounce their YouTube username, so I'm just going to overlay their name on the picture here. I'd like to say thanks to everybody who helped identify this bird. Next up was the pied-billed grebes. They're a lot of fun to photograph, and they were blending in really, really well with these reeds too. They're just darting in and out and constantly going underwater or catching fish. Really cool little birds. And then this tricolored heron flew in with a big fat minnow in its beak. I think it was trying to offer me some breakfast, but I had already eaten. Once the sun was up, all of the birds got really hungry, and it was time to go watch some great blue herons hunting. I tell you what, these guys are the best fishermen I think I've ever seen. They catch so many fish so fast, and a lot of times they will just spear them with their bottom bill and just stand there with this big fish stuck to their bottom bill. Totally impressive animals. And the cormorant was the next to show off its fishing skills. Look at that, like almost a jewel-colored eye. And it looks like a big fat bluegill is on the menu for breakfast this morning. That fish is huge. And the cormorant decided to come a little bit closer and check me out as I was taking its picture. But this fish would wind up being the one that got away. Somehow the cormorant lost it. The next fish the cormorant caught wasn't so lucky. This one was breakfast. The snowy egret was next. I got some really good in-flight and takeoff shots, as you'll see here. My favorite one is the last one when it came in for a landing right behind these reeds. These are also known as golden slippers. Look at those feet and you'll know why. And then a glossy ibis shot up for a great shot among that lush green vegetation. It's really hard to believe that there's so many birds in such a small area, but they are everywhere at this place. This great egret decided it wanted to be part of the photo shoot as well. And this picture is just another great example of how well the Nikon D500 and the Nikon 200-500mm lens are at separating focus and in busy environments like this. It locked right onto this bird as it was flying right in front of all of these weeds without any problems. Now that the sun was up and it was getting a little bit warmer, I decided to go see if I could find the sandhill crane family. And I did. I found the two adults and both chicks, and they were a blast to watch. The parents were really busy, constantly looking for food and constantly feeding these little chicks. And the little chicks now were getting really dirty because they were having to travel through all this really, really thick mud. There was a few times when I wasn't sure if they would make it, but the parents waited and the chicks made it through. A couple more birds decided to show up for pictures. The first is the American coot. Look at the detail on the feathers. This lens, the Nikon 200-500, is absolutely incredible. And then the common moorhen with that really red beak. Again, excellent feather detail. It's amazing how close some of these birds actually let you get. When you're out shooting any kind of wildlife, you really have to be prepared for anything at a moment's notice. From out of nowhere, this pair of glossy ibis just kind of landed, and then they started fighting. I zoomed in and started getting as many pictures as I could. It's always interesting when birds fight, and it's really interesting to see, the pictures that you get because you get to freeze time at all of those milliseconds and get all these really interesting poses. And now that I look at these, I'm not too sure that the ibis were actually fighting. I mean, look at this last image. Does anyone out there know if ibis mate in the air? I don't have any idea. Go ahead and leave a comment if you know, even if you don't know. It's a pretty interesting image. I'm going to leave this video with one of my favorite images of the day. This is a great blue heron, and this great blue heron has managed to spear himself a largemouth bass. I mentioned how they use their beaks to actually spear fish, and typically they will use the bottom portion of their beak. This guy used both the bottom and the top, and he's just as proud as can be. There should be a little bumblebee in the upper left-hand corner. Go ahead and click on that and subscribe to my channel. I got a lot of videos planned. If you like the video, click the thumbs up, and always leave comments. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, questions, whatever. I'll do my best to answer any questions, and I love hearing what everybody thinks of the videos. Thanks for watching.